Hi! On the Woodpecker today, to help Renée go downstairs, I make her some handrails and also a cane. Renée is now able to walk. A little bit. Not very fast, but at least she can move. This is great news. But we never installed a handrail to go down into the basement. She has a lot of trouble with the stairs, so I'm going to make some handrails. And I'm going to do them with a piece of 2x6 lying around in the shop. So the first thing to do is to surface and rip all this to the right width. And to do those handrails, I'm going to use the set of bits I bought for our guardrail a long time ago. First thing to do is to cut the round shape of the top. When I'm done, they look like this. It's now time to switch bits and cut the sides. And here are the two pieces which will become our new handrails. But I still have a lot to do before I can install them in place. To put them on the wall, I draw the idea I wanted for the supports on a sheet of paper. And with this drawing, I made this pattern. And here's the first test I made. It's exactly what I want. It's now time to make a bunch of them. Now, with my pattern, I can trace the supports, shape, and put on the placement for the screws and holes I need to do. After marking where I want them, I can begin to drill all the holes on top. When all the big holes are done, I can drill the screw holes. After tilting my miter saw to 38 degrees, which is the angle of my steps, I cut all the blocks. I try not to forget to cut some blocks on the other side, because I will need them for the second wall of the staircase. Then it's time to cut all those blocks and give them their final shape. Next, I route a nice round over. and cut the two handrails at 38 degrees. I want those handrails to look a little bit like my guardrails, so I'm going to stain everything with the walnut color. I have a lot of pieces, so this will take a little bit of time. But now that it's done, I just need to wait for the stain to dry. When it is, I can brush the first coat of varnish and wait for the varnish to dry. When it's dry, I use a scrub pad to remove all the bumps on the finish. After cleaning this with a damp rag, I brush the second coat of varnish. I do that again for the third coat. But to be able to install those handrails in place, I need to make a drilling guide. So after drilling a hole, I cut the 2x4 at 52 degrees. Here you can see that this will be perfect. Now we just need to install the first handrail in place. On the first wall, I screw two supports. Then I find where I should drill the holes in the handrail and drill them. With the handrail in place, I can screw the other supports. Mark where I need to drill more holes and drill them. To glue this in place, I need some short dowels. Now we can glue the handrail in place. But it was more complicated than I was anticipating. So for the other side, I drill the holes in the handrail and glue the supports to it. And it's that glue up that I screw to the wall. This is a little bit easier to install like that. But even if it's easier for Renée to go into the basement, she still needs a cane to walk outside or for a longer distance. We had a friend who lent us some canes, but they were too long. So now I'm going to make her a cane. I begin by ripping a piece of maple. I turn this a little rounder on the lathe. But I quickly see that I need more support because this is too small and too long. But even with support, this jumps all over the place. So the finish is not really good. So I try with the sander. Next, I cut the tenon at the end. I want to put a ferrule at the end of the cane, but the piece of pipe I want to use is a bit too long, so I have to cut it in half. Now I need it to fit here. Now that it does, I glue it in place with epoxy glue. And while the glue dries, it's the perfect time to cut the handle out of this piece of sapele. When it's cut to the size I need, I stick my pattern and mark where I need to drill the hole for the tenon I just did, and drill it. Next, I can give the final shape to the handle. After doing all that, the glue of the ferrule is dry. With a file, I remove most of the excess copper. I finish the job on the lathe. Since I didn't turn the cane really straight, I'm trying to remove the eye spots with a piece of wood and sandpaper. Okay, it's working, but it's not miraculous. Now it's time to give it its final sanding. I begin with 80 grit. I switch grit several times and finish with 400 grit. To make the cane look a little bit nicer, I burn some lines on it. And sand it again. After cutting the cane to the right length, I make a mess trying to remove the paper pattern on the handle. Yes, even if it's glue stick for kids, it sticks like crazy. And now it's time to glue the handle to the cane. And I just need to wait for the glue to dry. When it's dry enough, I need to give the handle its final shape. After sanding the ferrule again, I'm ready to apply the finish. A couple of hours later, the varnish is dry enough so I can scrub it. After cleaning the cane with water, I brush another coat of varnish. I do this again before applying the third coat. The next day, the varnish is dry and I can put the rubber tip on the cane. Now, I'm pretty sure Renée won't fall with this cane. It stays upright by itself. And see, I'm not lying. She can walk, and not too badly. I can even say, at least better than in December. Soon she will be able to come and help me inside the shop. But until then, don't forget to come back to the Woodpecker.